Okay, this is going to be video number 2 in my series, video number 27, and all about the crime problem in America. Now, the first thing is, I think I'm going to have a little more time on this video because there's only a couple of subjects I want to cover, and I think I know what I want to say. The first thing is, I know I've made a lot of videos here. I've made a lot of videos on combat shooting. I've made a lot of videos on what to do in different shooting scenarios. I've made videos on what to do after everything happens. But I want somebody to understand this right up front. I've never actually killed anyone. I've never actually been involved in a gunfight. What this makes me a armchair warrior. It makes me a Rambo wannabe. It makes me whatever the terminology is for that. And I'm a totally unproven prospect in that regard. Now, hopefully I'll never have to prove myself and never have to utilize any of this stuff. Now, I did take and complete 4-day handgun, and I know some of the basics, but like I say, that's kind of sort of where it's at. So I want everybody to know right up front, I'm not really a psychopath or anything like that just because I make all these videos. I'm really a honest, decent, God-fearing, law-abiding citizen, and I've worked for 40 years, and I draw a pension, and I'm retired, and I get Social Security, and yeah, I'm just kind of the Walter Kowalski of Venice, California here. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, the next thing I want to relay is one little experience. I have recently done something to do my part against the crime problem now. So you know I'm not completely just talking to hear myself talk in these videos. Now, I know this lady about my age who's a friend of mine. I'll call her Jane for this video. She lives in a place south of here that's kind of turning a little bit. She lives in an apartment complex. It's not totally secure. They're starting to get a few undesirables in the neighborhood, stuff like that, and she doesn't feel totally safe. And she had a little .25 caliber handgun that was totally, completely useless. So we took that thing to the range and it fired one shot and it wouldn't function after that. So it had 6 more in the magazine, but it wouldn't fire, and you spend a minute clearing it after you fired the one shot. So anyway, because she's a hard-working person and she doesn't have all the money in the world, and I took her shooting a couple of weeks ago, and she liked shooting my Glock so much, I went out and bought her one for herself and gave her a couple more hours of instruction on how to use it, and let her go to the range and burn up some more bullets, and then taught her how to do the dry practice exercises and proper mindset and stuff like that to have. So now she's armed if anybody breaks in, and she has a chance. So I'm not somebody who just talks about what we should do about the problem of crime. I actually would like to do something about it. And if I had the time and energy and money to do it, hell, I'd try to arm every woman in the country, because I think they all ought to be carrying. I think when you turn 15, I think you should get your concealed carry before you get your driver's license. So that's that. Now, let's say what might happen if she actually had to use this weapon. Let's say somebody broke in. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. The guy's 6'4", he weighs 300 pounds. He's a convicted rapist out on parole. Well, here's about what's going to happen. Because I've taught her the basics of combat handgun and how to do the dry practice exercises, what she's probably going to do is have a big adrenaline rush and actually dump a magazine in this guy's direction in about 1.5 seconds, and maybe get just a little flash of the front sight of center mass, maybe put 2 or 3 in center mass and accidentally hit the heart and kill this guy. That's probably what's going to happen. Now, because she lives in an apartment complex and there's lots of people around, it's going to make a lot of noise, so it's going to draw attention. Because this guy's 6'4" and weighs 300 pounds, and she's maybe 5'4" and weighs 110. She's not going to be able to drag the body out the front door and put it in the trunk and haul it off. So the police are probably going to get involved. Now, they're going to come there and get her story and all this and take the weapon and run it and the serial number. Oh, this belongs to this guy. So then they're going to come see me and say, sir, we want you to know your handgun was used in a shooting here, and we want to know why this lady is in possession of your handgun, you know. And depending on my mood, I might tell them, well, you know, me and Jane go to the range and shoot once in a while, and it was easy for me to leave it there. And, you know, I've got a lot of extra handguns, and I figured, you know, maybe she could have it just for a little extra security or whatever. Or I might tell them, well, I didn't think Jane was safe there, so I bought her a handgun. And the police would say, well, sir, we don't think that's a proper thing to do, you buying handguns for people and them killing people with it. You know, and I'll say, well, gee, officer, I'd say, I don't see what the problem is. No one was killed, you know. The officer would say, oh, what do you mean, sir, no one was killed? That's not the proper attitude. And my reply would be, what part of no one was actually killed is it you fail to understand? And that's a mindset you've got to develop towards our predators and our criminals. You've got to think of these people just like, you know, you're in your kitchen and you've got cockroaches and you've got rodents around. You've got to think in terms of exterminating cockroaches and rodents and stuff like that. You don't have anything personal against them. You just, well, they ought to be exterminated. I don't want to share my food with them. So that's the mindset we've got to develop towards predators and criminals. No one was killed. It just, you know, we got rid of these people. Now, one more thing here. I've got about 3 minutes left here, and so I talked on the other video about executing these people after a certain amount of time when they prove that they're predators and they can no longer function in society. And you don't keep them on parole in halfway houses indefinitely and let them keep committing crimes. You just get rid of them. Now, I have a real problem with all the execution methods that we've utilized over the past few years. I think, for want of a better term, they're nothing but sadistic rituals, and I'll include lethal injection in that group too. Now, here's the way I think it ought to be done. You handcuff the guy's hands in front of him with a waist chain, handcuff his feet together so he can't run. You blindfold him like this, lead him into a little room with wooden walls to catch bullets, and you have as soon as the guy steps into the room, you have the executioner put the Glock about 3 inches away from his temple and press the trigger, one through the temple. That's the end of that. Use a solid jacket bullet. Don't use a hollow point because they make too much mess. And that's the way that ought to be done. Quick, simple, easy. They would never feel a thing, I guarantee it. It might look bad if you let the press view it, but it'd really be quick and humane. They wouldn't feel a thing. Now the problem we have here in California is we've got 680 of these people in death row. Now, when I took 4-day, I fired 450 rounds over 4 days, and my hands were all sore at the end of the 4 days and stuff. So you couldn't have one person doing this. You'd have to have a team, and it would take a lot of time to get rid of these people. So to start with, you'd have to put a tent over death row and pipe in the gas and get rid of them. And once you did that, you'd be able to hold executions at a more sensible pace after this and use this other method. So, okay, that's 923 here, and that's it for Crime in America Part 2. And I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, and we'll see you on the next one.